currently there is speeches. First of all, Chief Minister. Oh, sorry, he is now. The Chief Guest, Honorable Minister of State, Independent Charge for the Ministry of Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh has arrived. Let us welcome the Chief Guest and the dignitaries with a big round of applause. Good morning to all the dignitaries, esteemed guests, distinguished colleagues, and friends from media. I am Charu Agarwal, your host for the day. On behalf of Department of Science and Technology, I extend a hearty welcome to our esteemed guest, Honorable Minister of State for Ministry of Science and Technology, Dr. V.K. Saraswat, Member Science, Niti Aayog, Professor A.K. Sood, Principal Scientific Advisor to Honorable PM, Professor Abhay Karandikar, Secretary, DST, Dr. S.K. Varshney, Advisor and Head, International Cooperation Division, DST, distinguished colleagues from various departments and ministries, esteemed guests from Indian institutions, universities, and friends from electronic and print media to this event. I thank you all for sparing your time to join us today. I extend heartfelt gratitude to Honorable Minister for gracing us with his presence today. Sir, you hardly need any introduction. You have made all of us proud of your distinguished work in numerous capacities. Your presence has elevated the significance of this occasion, and we are truly honored to have you here. Now, I take this opportunity to request Professor Abhay Karandikar, Secretary DST, to welcome Honorable Minister with a potted plant. Thank you, sir. I again request, sir, to welcome Professor V.K. Saraswat, Member Science Niti Aayog with a potted plant. May I request Professor Abhay Karandikar to present a potted plant to Professor A.K. Sood, Principal Scientific Advisor. Now, I request Dr. S.K. Varshney to present a potted plant to Professor Abhay Karandikar. Thank you, sir. Next, may I request Dr. Rajiv Kumar to present a potted plant to Dr. Varshney. Thank you. On this morning, we find ourselves in the esteemed company of distinguished personalities and esteemed guests gathered here for a momentous occasion. Today marks a significant and auspicious juncture as we come together to celebrate and unveil the results of VAIBHAV Fellowships and Distinguished VAIBHAV Fellowships. The air is filled with anticipation and excitement as we prepare to acknowledge and honor the outstanding achievements and contribution of individuals who have dedicated themselves to advance scientific knowledge and fostering innovation. I understand that you all would like to know more about this initiative. Therefore, without any further delay, I would like to request Professor Abhay Karandikar, Secretary DST, to kindly address the gathering with his welcome remarks. So,
thank you very much. Honorable Science and Technology Minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, Member Science Niti Aayog, Dr. V.K. Saraswat ji, Principal Scientific Advisor, Professor Ajay Sood ji, my fellow colleagues, media personnel, members of PIB, I would like to heartily welcome all to this announcement of VAIBHAV Fellowship results. As all of you know that when Honorable Prime Minister inaugurated the VAIBHAV Summit in October 2020, there was an overwhelming response from the Indian diaspora. And they not only participated, but also overwhelmingly came forward to work with the Indian academic institutions, universities, Indian scientific fraternity to contribute their bit to the Indian science and technology ecosystem. And with that spirit, the Department of Science and Technology announced the VAIBHAV research program, whose primary aim is to connect the Indian scientists and academicians with the Indian scientific diaspora working in the field of science and technology all over the world. I'm delighted that all the concerned Indian government's scientific ministries and departments got proactively involved in the brainstorming to shape up these programs so that we can receive the maximum participations from the Indian community abroad. So this program was announced June last year, and the applications were sought for VAIBHAV fellowships. VAIBHAV Fellowship primarily envisages a collaboration between scientists of Indian origin with Indian higher educational institutions, universities, or public funded scientific institutions. And the fellow was expected to identify an Indian institution for collaborations and expected to spend up to 2 months in a year for a period of 3 years. Against the call that we had launched last year, we received a large number of proposals, in fact, more than 300 proposals in 18 verticals of research from 29 countries. Maximum proposal about 124 were received from the United States. And these proposals were in the area of health, artificial intelligence and machine learning, environmental sciences, materials and process engineering, and were also relevant to our national mission, such as quantum technologies, communications and semiconductor technologies, photonics, data sciences, earth sciences. These proposals went through a very rigorous screening and selection process by technical expert review. And finally, the Apex committee recommended 22 proposals. And that is what we are going to announce today. Under the VAIBHAV, Distinguished VAIBHAV Fellowship, we are making an offer to two very outstanding scientists from the US, and I hope they will be able to provide their expertise and their experiences to the Indian scientific community. As you know that in the recent years, we have launched a National Quantum Mission. We are also working in the area of renewable energy, clean energy, climate change, electric vehicles, cyber physical system, affordable healthcare, blue economy, manufacturing technologies, and so on. We believe that the Indian diaspora working in other countries with their expertise, knowledge, and experiences would be able to expand the horizons of our researchers and will be able to make a meaningful contribution to the Indian scientific community. It is the pilot phase of this call. We may consider funding more if the recommended proposals come up with the fruitful research, fruitful outputs during this fellowship terms. I hope that the VAIBHAV Fellowship and VAIBHAV Fellows, with their expertise, will be able to make a impact on the Indian science and technology ecosystem, and we will be able to make connections with the Indian diaspora, which has done extremely well in the area of science and technology. So once again, thank you very much. It is a momentous occasion today that we are going to release the results. I hope this will generate further excitement, not only in the Indian scientific community, but also all across the world. And we will be able to bring together all Indians working together in any part of the world to make contributions to making our country a global S&T leader in the next 25 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your inspirational words and kind support. We believe that under your guidance, DST would progress leaps and bounds. Now, I would like to request Professor A.K. Sood, Principal Scientific Advisor, to deliver his remarks.
Honorable Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, Honorable Dr. Vijay Saraswat ji, Member Niti Ayog, Dr. Abhay Karandikar, Dr. Varshne, and ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy to join all of you on the launch of this first cohort of VAIBHAV Fellowship. It's a wonderful culmination of an effort which almost started 3.5 years back in October 2020, and large number of meetings during the COVID time. We have all forgotten that that was the COVID time, but a lot of activities were done online, and I took part in one of the verticals. I remember, which was very intense in the quantum domain, and I was told that there were almost 230 panel discussions at that time, and almost 25,000 people attended those panel discussions with the Indian diaspora from all over the world, not only in US and UK but other parts, and our Indian colleagues. And now the first cohort will be announced, and I am very sure that this is a beginning of a very serious and fruitful engagement of our diaspora with our S&T ecosystem in the country. Somehow I like this word VAIBHAV. So when it was started, I was quite I was appreciating the one who must have done this homework to make this Vaishvik Bharatiya Vaigyanik forum. So I thought it is such a nice thing, because if you look at the English meaning of Vaibhav, that would mean richness and eminence. So you really truly imply that this Vaibhav program will bring richness to the Indian S&T ecosystem, and that is what Professor Karandikar elaborated on what is expected in various contemporary themes which India is pursuing. So lot more to look forward. But we debated in our various 2-3 committees that this is phase one, which will enable the mobility of the scientists. But it should not end there, because if it ends there, it will not really serve the purpose for which it was envisaged. So this initial phase, I hope, will give rise to very serious engagement and deliverables, the outcomes in almost 2-3 years. So on this platform, again we remind ourselves that this should not be limited to the mobility aspect of the interaction. I hope that all other ministries who are involved in this, along with DST, will enable actual collaborative work involving scientists from India and our diaspora and the students along with the mobility. So I look forward to that, because that would be the true engagement of our very enthusiastic diaspora scientists with Indian community and contribute to Atmanirbhar Bharat. So a great moment, and I hope it will go much farther than the Vajra scheme, again with which I have been associated. And I hope both these schemes, Vaibhav and Vajra, can really enable this serious engagement of our diaspora with our S&T ecosystem. So all the very best to DST and all the science departments and other ministries which will come together hopefully in phase 2. And I am sure we have many exciting things to look forward to. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for highlighting the important context for the benefit of S&T of India. Now, may I invite Dr. Vijay Kumar Saraswat, Member Science Niti Aayog, to share his insights with us.
Namaskar. Good morning. Honorable Minister for Science and Technology, Dr. Jiten Singh ji, my friend and colleague, Professor A.K. Sood, Professor Abhay Karandikar, Dr. Vashne, all the distinguished scientists who are present here, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a pleasure to be here today at the announcement of the results of the VAIBHAV Fellowship and Distinguished Fellow Scheme. As brought out by Professor A.K. Sood, like many things which have happened in the last 10 years, 2014, since Modi ji took over as Prime Minister, this is also one of those initiatives which was taken by him after a visit to foreign countries, particularly America, when the Indian diaspora by and large came forward. I won't like to use the word complaint, but came forward to help India progress in the realm of science and technology and make our nation technologically strong. Because one of the questions which was put by Modi ji, Honorable Prime Minister, was that why is that after C.V. Raman and many others who have become Nobel laureate, by being in US, why nobody has become a Nobel laureate from India? C.V. Raman, because all the Indians who got afterwards have worked in US and then they have attained the Nobel Prize. So he came up with this idea that why not the Indian scientists work with the Indian diaspora in a more collegiate manner, in a more intense manner, which will ensure synergy and bring a positive growth as far as science and technology is concerned. And that's what Professor Sood mentioned, that the whole exercise started in 2020 with a lot of hiccups in between. The reports were projected. Initially, it was being coordinated by DRDO. Satish Reddy sir was the prime person who initiated that, and all of you participated. But later on, DST took over, and now today what we have is a very potent system which has been put in place, where a systematic approach has been followed for identification of the groups which are likely to deliver the necessary goods in the area of science and technology. The fellowship schemes which will bring in the best of the scientists from abroad to work with the Indian scientists. The whole idea is, as the science is growing, probably what we need is more and more outside inputs for promoting the science in our country. I have gone through, along with Professor Sood and Professor Abhay Karandikar and the distinguished scientists from the DST, on all the proposals which came, and we went through the major areas in which the work was identified, which included some of the disruptive technologies which are emerging today, like quantum, artificial intelligence, MLDL, and so on. It also included some areas in the social sciences and management and so on. So, with great difficulty, we were able to screen about 20 and odd, which was mentioned by Professor Abhay Karandikar. And I found the interest shown by the Indian scientific community was very, very high. So, obviously, this scheme should certainly deliver what our Honorable Prime Minister intended it to do. But I have a couple of suggestions to make, because if any scheme of this kind has to work, it cannot be done purely on the basis of expecting that some technology transfer will take place from outside, and then we will be able to make headway. Because a technology transfer is a different process. What we are looking for is co-development, working, doing research together in the areas which are new areas, which are of importance to Indian science, Indian society, and globally also. So that would require that the scientific community in our country has to have a proactive approach. If that proactive approach will be there, then we can extract the kind of synergy from the foreign Indian diaspora abroad and then take it forward. Because once the Indian diaspora comes as a team member, he or she will be in a position to then come up with ideas, synergize the efforts what we are doing, bring in certain new inputs, but ultimately it should be killed, it should be founded in the Indian national institutions, and these institutions then should create the similar ecosystem what we are seeing abroad in our centers also. Many of you say that the ecosystem what is available in foreign countries is not the same. That ecosystem is responsible for Indian scientists doing better than what they do in India. That is a kind of impression which is being created all the time. A good scientist, when he goes abroad, he becomes a better scientist, he contributes immensely, he becomes a chief executive, he becomes a Nobel laureate. But when he remains in India, he is not able to do that. The whole idea is to now give a major boost to this ecosystem by this synergy. So hence, it is not just that particular project, but the various methods of doing research, various methods of doing data management, various methods of synergizing, cooperation, collaboration, working together, all these things which are probably available in the foreign countries, which probably we may have some shades of it, but we may not have to the same degree, then I think we will have to benefit from that. I would recommend to the Secretary DST that after these schemes are announced and the fellowship and the programs are initiated, the first step that we need to take is invite all these identified 22 groups under the leadership of our Honorable Minister, sir, along with many of the eminent scientists here. We should have a one-day dialogue, not just a meeting of this kind, a one-day dialogue with them on various areas in which the work is being done, and show and project to them what is the kind of expectations we have from each of these groups. If we don't do that, I personally believe that there is a possibility of these groups falling into the rut and probably going into the same mode as which we have been doing in the past under the Vajra program or any other program for that matter, where international collaborations have been announced not today, for the last 15-20 years back. We have collaborations with many countries today. We have Indo-Israel collaboration, we have Indo-US collaboration, we have Indo-UK collaboration. But if you look at their output, if you look at the gains of these collaborations, many times we find that there are lots of gaps. So this could be avoided if we are able to put clear objectives to these groups, work, identify in a manner in which the objectives are met. And of course, we have already worked out as part of the scheme a very, very strong monitoring and review system, which will enable that the progress of these collaborations, these associations is regularly monitored. which will be able to do what we call as the mid-course correction and hence bring out the benefits thereof. We won't hesitate in terminating a collaboration we don't find the results are not okay. So that is a kind of scenario we have to project to them. Then only we expect that it will be more meaningful. I personally believe that it should not become yet another exercise for Indian diaspora to come and visit their friends and foes and families in the country and go back. It should not be like that. It should be a very, very meaningful, intense scientific activity with the scientists coming there, working with my scientists together and delivering the results. Then only we will be able to benefit. Otherwise, it should not remain a simple scheme which will be applauded by all without output. So I may request all of you to be actively participating. And we are going to have the distinguished fellow who is going to stay here for some time. I think some durations are being fixed. We should make use of his advice as much as possible. And I'm not going to announce the names because that is going to be done later, because I know that some of them are very eminent people and we can certainly make use of their advice. So this is the kind of suggestion I have. I wish the program, I wish the activity a great success. And if we are successful, nation will succeed and we will become a stronger SNT community. Thank you very much and wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir, for your guidance and support. Since the development of this new initiative, we believe that you are the beacon of knowledge and a source of inspiration for all of us. Now, I take this opportunity to invite our chief guest, Honorable Minister of State for Ministry of Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh, to address the gathering.
On the dais, the Principal Scientific Advisor, Professor Sood, Member Niti Aayog, and a very eminent scientific colleague, Dr. Saraswat, Secretary, Science and Technology, Dr. Abhay, Dr. Vashne, members of the scientific fraternity, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's a strange coincidence that we are meeting at a time which I feel is one of the better times happening for Indian scientific community as well as the Indian scientific fraternity and science as a whole. And if you look at the year gone by, we have had a number of encouraging events. We had a very successful G20. We had one after the other, a series of success stories emanating from science technology. We had the Chandrayaan. I am not going into the detail about all that because I am sure this is a learned audience and you know the significance of what I'm saying. We had the Chandrayaan, and I think that placed us as a frontline nation. And G20 raised the stature of Prime Minister Modi as one of the tallest leaders, rather the tallest in the world. And the significance of Chandrayaan can be realized when we see that as I was saying the other day, the ISRO was founded in 1969, which was the year when the Americans landed their first human being on the surface of the moon, called Neil Armstrong, and we were just born. And today we have reached the southern pole before they could. So same was the case with this other vaccine story, is the other success story, which has placed us as a leader, as a world leader in protective health care, and exploded the myth that India didn't take its healthcare science or research very seriously, as was being believed in the past. And then we have had a success stories emanating from the CSIR, the Aroma mission, the Purple Revolution, which have undoubtedly given us a place of esteem and also done away with the impression that we are always waiting for others to lead us. So today, in more ways than one, we are in a position to give lead to others. As is also being seen in the case of Chandrayaan, the inputs that we are receiving from the southern pole are being awaited by the rest of the world, though we are yet to share them with them. And what I'm saying this, since we are all a community of scientists and being taught not to speak without evidence, is actually being accepted statistically by the rest of the world. We are now number 3 in the startup ecosystem in the world. So this is by the international yardsticks, not that I say or you say. Having made a very humble beginning with just about 350, 400, we have jumped 41 places in Global Innovation Index. In biotechnology, we were just 50 in 2014. Today, we are 6,000 biotech startups, and our bioeconomy has gone up more than 10 times over the last 10 years, just from about 10 billion. Now we are about 140 billion. And similarly, our space economy also on the rise. And as was being mentioned by Professor Sood, our foray into the quantum mission, which is still a domain of just about 5 or 6 nations in the world, has proved that we are not waiting for others to drop a cue. We are already ahead and almost at equal pace, in no way half a step behind. We are among the few who have also launched the National Research Foundation, all these happening in the last few months. And that ecosystem being supplemented by the new education policy, also popularly known as NEP 2020. Now, why I am saying all this is in the context of today's program is that I think it's important for us to realize, and also for the friends who've gone abroad to realize, that India of today is no longer the India of yesterday. And please, if you give a pause and think, and make them also think, they left India of yesterday. They might not have decided to leave the India of today. And that is, I think, the tailpiece catch point. And therefore, if due to certain reasons they left India yesterday to discover certain opportunities which they thought were not available back home or within the country, in that case, the today India beckons them back with equal number or perhaps more opportunities, with a much, much greater ease of working. I think that has to be the message or the inspiring cue that has to be given to these friends who are there abroad for whatever reason and whenever they left. And from that point of view, this initiative taken at the behest of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as was being mentioned by Dr. Saraswat in the year 2020, is also a reflection of the foresight with which the Prime Minister might have conceived this visionary initiative. Because now is the time when we have the confidence to engage them back home, and they too would find it equally rewarding. Actually, and I have another small suggestion to make to what Dr. Saraswat has already said. Particularly those of the diaspora who have left in the recent years may be more amenable to engage in this second thought, rather the ones who've been there for decades, because then the other things come up. We are all creatures and sons and daughters of the same society, so it's no longer only science that governs our destiny. There's so many other things. Like, for example, there was a case of one of the IITians who had moved out of the country way back in 1980s. He got in touch with me about 7-8 years back. He seriously wanted to come back, actually. So I told him, I said, I can arrange for you a kind of a project, a time bound, so that you get used to the conditions over here, and then later on you can pack up your bag and baggage and come home. He did that. He was successful for 1 year or so. But when the time ultimately came to get back home, factors other than science held him back. Because he had 2 daughters, or a son and a daughter. They said, if you want to go, you go back. We are not going back. So the extraneous factors come in. The extra science factors, as we call in the scientific technology, extra scientific factors. And therefore, the milieu may be congenial, the laboratory may be ready to welcome you, but the kind of paraphernalia which you have set up there is not ready to accompany you. And therefore, now that there's an increasing realization, both here as well as abroad, that the Indian diaspora have, in fact, and are in fact playing a very key role in the overall global growth. We have a huge number of non-resident unicorns. They are being extremely valued even by the scientific fraternity abroad. The other day I was saying, when we were in Germany, I asked why the Indian boys and girls are preferred in startup groups. They gave me a series of reasons that they were committed, more hardworking, this, that, because of course we are trained like that to slog and work. And the last reason was that they don't take a weekend off. So for all these reasons, the worth and the value of the Indian diaspora is now being more increasingly accepted day in day. But in spite of that, whenever you are there abroad, you find all of them coming and trying to reach out to you, to flock around you. Why so? Because they are still rooted here. Culturally, their heart and soul. So having, maybe they've done very well for themselves. And the family here also says, हाँ वो मेरी बेटी जो है ना वो Washington White House के 4 किलोमीटर दूर ही है, मल्टी स्टोरी, वहाँ उस कंपनी में CEO है. So the parents tell this in the morning walk because they are deriving a silent pleasure. Though in the heart of heart they feel the emptiness of the person not being there. And if tomorrow sometimes, God passes a different decree, they know they won't be able to arrive even for the last rites. So that haunts. वो मॉर्निंग वॉकर्स को इसलिए सिखाते हैं कि भाई यही जाएंगे आखिरी यात्रा में. And same way there also. They also keep narrating the stories. If you meet the diaspora there, the youngsters say, oh, my grandfather was a chief engineer there. My grandfather's father was a builder. ये फला building दिल्ली की उन्होंने बनाई. But did you realize, and as a medical clinicians, some of us may be induced today, why they talk that? Because they are still missing out what they've left. And maybe at that point in time they left because they didn't have the kind of slots which could engage them, occupy them, or they had more tempting opportunities. But that is no longer so in India. So when we ask them to engage here, we are not only engaging their scientific capabilities, we are also doing a great service to their heart and soul by engaging them with their roots. And therefore, I think there's a need to create a platform to connect and share their experiences, their successes. And when Dr. Saraswat said that they could also come and interact here, as we are going to have in the arrangement, and also add value to kind of work that our fraternity persons are doing, I think it could be the other way around also. I have every reason to believe that at the end of the day, they might go back wiser than before. Because my firm belief that India is a huge, huge resource pool as far as research is concerned, which you don't find anywhere else in the world. And now, of course, the things are much more sophisticated and much more well placed. But even in the very early times, in the very primitive times when we had nothing, at least in the medical stream, we have had the best of the European, because those days the entire science was being dominated by the UK only. Later on, USA took over in the late 19th and the early 20th century. Many of the British researchers came to India and then made a name for themselves and even got Nobel Prizes out of research done in India. At least some of our streams, like tuberculosis, the entire research was done in India by the Britishers. Sexually transmitted diseases. Entire South India was one of the favorite destinations for this. Kala Azar, we still have a plague there in one of the hospitals, which writes the famous Donovan sat in this laboratory because we have Donovan body is named after. And same way, even today, when we talk of emulating them or talk of learning from their experience, what is it about? It's about IT only. What about this aroma? Do they have aroma? So let them come and learn what is it all about. Planting lavender and making fortune out of it. This they don't find over there. And what about their coastal experiences of 7,500 long coastal area? The biodiversity in the seabed, the metals, the minerals in the seabed, not seen there. So in fact, about a few months back, we had a group of medicos who wanted to conduct a research here. So they got in touch with me, not in my present capacity, which is of course a transitory thing, but in my original capacity. So they asked me, they said, what kind of research do you think? Because they were a group of young medicos from the general medicine. I said, you tell me your aptitude. You name the disease and we'll offer you one. And that applies. We may have a lot to learn from IT and from quantum and from cutting edge technology, but we have much to offer to make them learn from our agri experience, from our marine experience, from our fishery experience. So I think it is a two-way thing. And the more we realize, it will be doing good for both. And after the 2020 VAIBHAV summit, which Dr. Saraswat was rightly mentioning, with the historical sequence behind that, we had about 25,000 of delegates in that summit. And today, of course, the names I think Professor Abhay will disclose at the right time. But I was asking, he says about 22 fellows and 2 distinguished fellows who have been selected and selected from a wide range of countries from USA, UK, Canada, Australia, etc., etc. And they would be engaging for, I think, 3 years, up to 3 years with IITs and IIS. And I think in the times to come, we could enlarge the areas because now we are into an era of super specialized research. So it's no longer confined to only IITs and ISC. So much of the agriculture can be taught by a non-IITian who's been made that brand ambassador, who's hardly a graduate. He would teach you how to make a fortune out of this lavender and then sell in the market small bottles for several thousands. So, and also the linkage that we have now, the synergized ecosystem we have in India today did not exist till a few years ago, till about 7-8 years ago. And that also enriches the standard of our research and also brings in the ease of science, the ease of research. And with that kind of, I think, milieu now, we could have a very vibrant science ecosystem back home. And I'm sure it will not be very difficult in the times to come. It will become much easier to motivate them to look back. And as I said, the younger ones or those who've been there for a few years could be induced with a greater ease and also could be given the kind of esteem that they have something to contribute to the making of that 2047 India or the century India. And they could be the proud citizens, the proud contributors to that. So I'm glad that we have moved on in this unique initiative at the behest of Prime Minister. And I compliment Professor Abhay and the entire team for having accomplished this exercise very successfully. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We are grateful for your inspiration, encouragement, and guidance. Your dedication and commitment to Indian science and technology have truly set a benchmark for excellence. Now, I take the opportunity to request Honorable Minister for the highly anticipated moment, the announcement of results and the launch of next call. हाँ हाँ ऑन है। आप चलाते रहो ना, वो कर रहे हो कि नहीं मैं देख रही हूँ ना।
Thank you. Thank you, Mantriji, for giving me this opportunity to read the names. Can we put the first name? And as Secretary has mentioned, and also Dr. Saraswati and Dr. Suji. So we have gone through a very rigorous process. We received more than 300 applications, which were first evaluated by the technical subject experts and the committees. And subsequently, we have a apex committee chaired by Dr. Saraswati, Dr. Sood and Dr. Abhay Krandikar are the co-chair, and one more member, Mr. Bishuji Sahai, is sitting here. So there are all scientific department secretaries who are the members of this apex committee, along with additional secretary from Ministry of External Affairs responsible for overseas Indian affairs. So we have taken this decision very consciously, and I'm so happy to announce the name, to read the names. Announcement is by the minister, honorable minister. So first name we are taking is in the area of artificial intelligence and machine learning. We have picked Professor Murli Annavaram, who would be working with Indian Institute of Science. Profiles, right now we are not carrying the full profile with them. So just areas we have picked up. So in the area of data science, we have picked up two candidates, Dr. Mrs. Mansi Manoj Kasliwal, who would be working at IIT Bombay, and Professor Subir Sarkar from Oxford, who would be working with Tata Institute of Fundamental Research in the field of data science. Next. In the field of electronics and semiconductor devices, we have picked two names, Professor Ajit Srivastava from University of Geneva, who would be working at IISER Pune, and Professor Satish Narayan Sami from University of Michigan, who would be working at IISc Bangalore. Next. In the area of quantum technologies, we have picked one candidate, Professor Kaji Rajibul Islam, University of Waterloo, who would be working at Inter-University Center for Astronomy and Astrophysics, Pune. Next. In the area of communication technology, we have picked two candidates, Dr. Dinesh Bhardia from University of California to work at IIT Madras, and Professor Sudhir Dikshit, University of Oslo, to work at SRM Institute of Science and Technology. Next. In the area of photonics, we have picked Dr. Avik Dutt, University of Maryland, who would be working at IIT Kharagpur. In the area of materials and processing technologies, we have picked Professor S. Kumar from University of Glasgow to work at IIT Madras, and Professor Rakesh Kumar Joshi, University of New South Wales, to work at IIT Roorkee. In the area of materials and processing technology, we have also picked Professor Manoj Gupta from National University of Singapore to work at NIT Calicut, and Professor Bharat Jalan, University of Minnesota, to work at Indian Institute of Science. In the area of health, medical science and biomedical technology, we have picked Professor Apur Bhatt, University of Birmingham, to work at IIT Madras, and Professor Perumal Nithirasu, Swansea University at IIT Kanpur. We have also picked Professor Subhash Chandra Mukhopadhyay in the area of health, medical science and biomedical, Macquarie University, to work at IIT Madras, Professor Apurv Dev, Upasla University, to work at IIT Bombay, and Dr. Sandeep Soni, CRISPR Therapeutics, to work at CSIR Institute of Genomics and Integrated Biology. In the area of earth sciences, we have picked Dr. Swadhin Kumar Behra, Japan Agency for Marine Earth Science Technology, to work at IIT Kharagpur, and Professor Prasant Valuri, University of Edinburgh, to work at Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. In the area of environmental sciences, we have taken Dr. Rakesh Kumar from Finnish Meteorological Institute to work at IIT Madras. In the area of management, we have picked Professor Sunil Mithas, University of South Florida to work at IIT Roorkee. We have made, besides these 22 names, we have also made offer to two distinguished fellows. One is Professor Arogyaswamy Paulraj from Stanford University, who we are proposing to work at IIT Bombay, and Professor Jitendra Malik, who could work from University of California, who could work with University at IIT Kanpur. So these two are more of an offer rather than award, and I think this all is the list. Thank you very much. So they are normally more than 10 years.
Maybe even more, because most of them are
Yeah,
in the
minimum
professor
10 years,
level.
I'm saying, sir.
So what I was thinking, I mean, next time Professor Sood can guide us, could we also categorize it to have a category of relatively lesser senior of the
Okay.
diaspora? Because
Okay.
most of them seem to be, have gone
20
up the
years.
ladder.
30 years, yeah.
Yeah, many of them either heads or professors. We could have some young resident scientists. So could we? I mean, you could think better. We could have a category also. Earmarking 3 or 4 or 5 would be from that, so that they would be coming back with a different kind of perspective, different kind of expectation. Most of them whom you are engaging are coming to go back. Very unlikely that they will, have a change of heart, even if they wish to. The heart might change, but the spirit will not allow because the people around. So,
I think it's a good suggestion. Out of 22, 7 of them are at associate professor and assistant professor level. 7. But we can look at it more younger. Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you for this list, and now I'll take the floor to express vote of thanks. So of course, yeah, second. No, I think it is just an announcement by minister. Just an announcement. You may request him to announce second call is open from today. So I think you may just announce the second call of the VAIBHAV fellowship is open for So Mike is there.
No, I can just. I think the first call we had launched in last month in December. Several suggestions were received from the members, from Dr. Saraswat and Dr. Sood, and we incorporated that, and we will be launching the second call of VAIBHAV Fellowship. So we are launching it from today, and the call will be open for till 15th February. So, sorry, 15th March. And then, of course, this time we selected only 22. We were little conservative, if I may say so. But yes, so we have done that in the second call, I think. Yeah. So I think yeah. So I think in the second call, I think that is the objective. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for. So I take this opportunity to express vote of thanks. So in fact, all the speaker have mentioned about the inspiration that comes from our honorable Prime Minister, at whose suggestion we organized this VAIBHAV summit nearly 2.5 years ago. Quite successful. We had a lot of interactions, and it resulted into a lot of suggestions for the government, and government took its time, and then I'm under the leadership of Dr. Saraswat, we had a thorough exercise how we could develop this program. So a lot of processes led by Dr. Saraswat and supported equally by Professor Sood. We developed this program and we have brought it to this shape. I am thankful to Honorable Minister who has been the source of inspiration and who kept us driving how we are taking this program forward. And it went, and today we are in a position to announce the result. And as we all feel that it is just the beginning, and more of the VAIBHAV program deliverables are yet to come. We are thankful to all members of the expert committees who evaluated the proposal, who help us in reaching here. And more than that, we are thankful to all the participants who responded to our call, both from our diaspora and from our own institutions, and where we could invite more than 300 proposals. I am very confident in the next call we will have much better response, because being the first call, we tried our best to reach as many diaspora as possible through various channels, but still we received some late suggestions. Oh, I saw it much later. So we are trying to improve that thing, but we are thankful to Ministry of External Affairs who help us in outreach of this program through their missions. We are thankful to all scientific departments who got associated and also publicized and contributed for this call, and we are so happy to take it forward. So we are looking for a new beginning, and I hope in time to come you will find more of VAIBHAV deliverables on your anvil. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, the House is open for interaction with the Honorable Minister. The media friends who are present here are requested to put up their questions or suggestions. Anyone?
Have those been rectified?
Yeah, I mean, it is not a one versus other, because the two had sort of a different objectives. And in this scheme, I think you have to see that in Vajra, I think, an extended period of stay was also needed, which is not there so much in both VAIBHAV and the Distinguished VAIBHAV Fellowships. So we believe that, and also this is, in the VAIBHAV call, we had a very collaborative research projects. We are also, I think, as Dr. Saraswat mentioned, we are also expecting from, other line ministries also to later on fund the research programs in the relevant areas. So I would say that it's not a question of launching a scheme to correct the issues in that. Yeah, so it is a different mandate. Some issues, can be corrected in the scheme itself. You don't have to launch another scheme.
Just to add, Vajra is not only for Indian diaspora. It so happens that on about 50% are given to Indian diaspora and 50% is the other one. Whereas this VAIBHAV is exclusively for Indian diaspora, and also the outcome which we are expecting here are probably little bit sharply defined than the other one, but this is a process in the works, and I hope it will get launched.
Any other questions?
So, Jacob Koshi from the Hindu. I just want to check the fact that even in the Vajra scheme, most of the applicants were from, I mean, they were from the Indian diaspora. Did we have a lot of people who were non-Indians and who were I mean, were they the majority of them? And secondly, is the objective of VAIBHAV to have these people, as Minister Saab was saying, to have these scientists eventually, settle in India and, contribute almost entirely to Indian science in the future?
Certainly,
Thanks.
it's not a part of the official agenda. But if you tomorrow choose to have a change of heart, nothing prevents that. So it was that in that spirit. Not that the program per se is meant to induce somebody to come back. On the contrary, as the Honorable Prime Minister has also said, and we also never lose opportunity to say that wherever they are settled, in whichever country or whichever society, they are actually adding value there also, enriching the growth story of their countries of settlement as well, while being rooted here. So there's no other agenda involved. But otherwise, if somebody feels that he or she didn't have the kind of opportunity that he or she was looking for, it's now available, and has a spontaneous opinion about that, it refers to that. But certainly not. We don't have a government-sponsored scheme to manipulate such kind of a thought.
I just want to clarify that nobody should go with an impression that Vajra has not been a successful scheme. Vajra has delivered its goods because the kind of interest the complete foreign community, which includes Indian diaspora, has taken in coming to India, working with Indian scientists for durations existing going from 1 week to and more, has certainly paid a lot of dividend as far as the research is concerned. But VAIBHAV is a different approach where there is a collaboration. There is a collaborative approach in which the two teams have identified common subjects of interest, and they would like to pursue research using the facilities in India and also using the facilities in their parent institution, exchanging notes and working together, both the teams, towards a common objective. So I think slight difference is there, but both the schemes will run parallel and both are equally good.
So just to clarify, the VAIBHAV fellows, will they be allowed to take on postdocs and supervised PhDs? The VAIBHAV?
So the scheme does not prohibit anything or define anything. The scheme is for collaborative research.
It's a maiden experience. As of now, it seems to be broadly left, so it doesn't actually define. I appreciate you raised this. The two partners could be at a liberty to define the area of collaboration, the limits of collaboration, and to what extent do they go. Because as you saw, one of them is a professor from Minnesota and then engaged with a professor in the IIT. So they are all both equally placed with experience and capabilities. And I think from this experience, we'll be able to improve further also. As Dr. Saraswat said, every scheme, or Dr. Abhay was saying, every scheme can be, always has a room to be improved with as we move on. I think there's much to offer from this side as well. I mean, it's no longer. So in course of time, maybe we feel vindicated about what we have initiated, and most of the technology now is available in India, so we don't even look abroad.
Thank you, sir. Finally, I extend an invitation to all the dignitaries, esteemed guests, distinguished colleagues, media friends to join us for a delightful lunch. Thank you for honoring us with your presence. However, before that, I would request you all to please raise and sing the national anthem with us. We will sing it together. जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंग विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे. Thank you, everyone. Now we may kindly proceed for lunch and have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Mike.